Welcome back. Another video coming to you guys, and it's again postseason themed. And this time we're going to take a look at the first round of the American Association postseason. Round 2 got underway on Monday night. However, we have to look at the first round before we can discuss round number 2. And we're going to start by looking at the Kane County Cougars and Milwaukee Milkmen series. So, we're looking at game 1 here, took place on September the 3rd, about a week ago today. We had Connor Ash scoring off against Juan Diaz, two of the best in the association this year as starting pitchers. Went toe-to-toe, and we got what we expected in that matchup, which was a pitcher's duel. No real offense generating outside a couple of the middle frames. However, it was a very tight-knit affair. Kane had a little bit more success. They generated some more offense than you would expect. Got 7 hits off of Diaz. Got 2 runs across the plate, although only one of those was earned. Both of those coming immediately following the Milkmen's opening tally and only tally of the game. Connor Ash doing the job. 6 2/3 of 1-run ball, only allowing a handful of base runners there. He faces 29. He puts down 21, I believe, on the day. Heroes from this one, we're looking at Claudio Final's solo shot and Armin Upshaw, who goes 3 for 4 with a double. And then, of course, Allen brings him in with a base knock of his own. On the flip side here, Milwaukee offense not really doing much outside of Blake, who went 2 for 4 and scored that lone run as well. Also bonus points to Lester, who gets on base 3 times, all via the walk. So he was working the count, but outside of them, not much really going for the offense in game 1. Something they need to improve upon. They wanted to advance, and, well, Milwaukee heard that loud and clear and came out with a display in game 2. Not only would the pitching perform as expected, posting a shutout and a 2-hit shutout at that, but the offense comes out in full force. 12-run, 14-hit display right out of the opening gates. 3 runs across the board in the first, another run in the third, 3 more in the fifth, 4 more in the sixth, and then just for good measure, they add 1 in the 8th there. A tale of 2 cities on the starting pitching front in this one. Mazika looking very strong through his 5 innings of work, only allowing 3 base runners, 2 hits, 1 walk. Strikes out only 1, but it didn't really matter. Bus comes in, and then Purnell comes in for a 3-out save performance, where he strikes 3 out, allows 1 base runner, and generally the Milkman pitching staff just shut it down. While on the flip side, Kane County, Chris Mazza doesn't get out of the first, only records 1 out, 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned, an 81 ERA for him exiting this one here. Stevenson comes in, settles it down a bit, gives him 3 2/3 of work. 1 hit, 1 run ball, 3 walks, 4 Ks. It's looking up, it's trending up a bit there, and the Western Mirror comes in for 4 innings here. And it just did not improve here. 8 runs crossed, 6 of them are earned. He allows 8 hits, he walks 4. A less than ideal performance from Weston in a less than ideal situation to be placed into. You'd want to say that one was already fairly out of reach, but through 4 innings of work, 4 runs is not an impossible mountain to climb. So it is a disappointing performance there, but 1 bad game does not shape a whole series. You get a decisive game 3, and, well, it was a clinic here and truly a back and forth affair. Similar to game 1, Milwaukee strikes first, they tack on 2 in the 3rd, followed by an immediate answer from Kane County in the 4th. Getting 2 of their own. We stay scoreless then into the 9th here. Both pitching staffs at this point looking good. Walker and Tempinelli both went back and forth in this one. They gave good performances. We go to the bottom half of the 9th. Bentley comes in for the Milkmen, and, well, not the best situation to be in. 2 hits, he gets 2 outs, and unfortunately spikes one in the dirt, gets away from the catcher, Hollow, and that's all she wrote in this one. Winning run comes across the score, and it is a tough one to live down if you are the Milwaukee Milkmen, team that had a lot of momentum moving into the postseason and looked really strong, like a real contender for quite some time there. Just doesn't quite get the job done. Top of the lineup did Alec Oland, Lester, Estep, and Blake all putting up hits, all going 1 for 4, 1 for 3 respectively. top two scoring the runs, but the rest of the lineup just really didn't contribute. You look at every other position, the 5 through 9 holes put up 1 hit combined and 2 walks combined. Not good enough in an elimination game effort. On the flip side, the Kane County lineup saw production throughout it. Armin Upshaw, probably the most notable, with the 2-for-4 performance there. Marcus Chu also with a double, which would be important later on. Final and Spin each bring up RBIs. Upshaw also with a stolen base for what that counts for. But general production throughout it. And that is what punches the Cougars' ticket to the next round. A little bit of luck in the 9th, but luck that was made possible by a very solid effort from the boys. We move from Kane County to the Battle of the Sioux. And in this instance here, it looked early on like it would be an Explorers series to lose. They put up 3 runs in the opening frame of this series here. They don't get another run until the 9th, but they put up 2 there. The pitching performs as expected. Kyle Marwin was the starter for them, and he goes 6 2/3 of 2 hit, 3 walk, no run ball, 10 Ks, just putting him down. Bullpen picks up where he left off with the final 2 1/3, allowing 4 base runners in that frame, in that span, and striking out 5 of their own. On the flip side, in Sioux Falls, just nothing going offensively. Lalonde allowed 2, but only 1 was earned. Brown, a fine start, technically a quality start, going 6 innings, 3 runs, all earned, 5 Ks, 4 hits, no walks on his end, which is something of note. However, no real offense from the guys you needed from on the Sioux City side. And on the flip side, the Explorers showed up at the top part of the lineup, and everybody played their role. We had Deshaun Knowles with a triple, Davis with a double, a couple hit by pitches as well, but everyone was performing and chipping in, all hands pulling in this one for the X's. And frankly, it looked like they were going to cruise through the first really 15 innings of this series. They come back, game 2. Sioux Falls breaks the ice in the second. City answers immediately and then adds on. They get 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth. Going in now to the top of the 6th, it is a 4-1 game. Falls gets 1 back, but City does not allow that for long. They answer it immediately back. It is looking like it is going to be the Explorers breaking a streak of poor playoff performances and really living up to that potential. However, the middle of this lineup said, we will not go down quietly, and you will see why in just a moment. Estrada, 2 for 2, 3 runs scored, 3 walks. Barth, 4 for 5, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored, 3 for 5 for Rewalt with 5 RBIs, 3 runs scored. Even Zimmerman gets into it with a 1 for 3 and 2 run score performance of his own, and Mike Hart chips in 3 RBIs on a 2 for 3 day himself. As you could tell, they started to perform. When did that happen? It started in the 7th inning. A big, disastrous affair for the X's with a base hit to lead off the inning, then a double, and then we saw some changes coming in here. Another base hit scores a run. Keep in mind, at this point, they had made the decision to swap out Beard for Jesse, who had pitched earlier in this series. And then it just became a slow burn there to get 4 runs across in that inning. No answer from the X's. And then it immediately got put out of reach from a 5-4 game to a 15-4 game by the next time Sioux City showed up to the plate. Falls just kind of opened it up on them there. Base hits, doubles, you name it, it was happening here. Nothing really going here. Walks, it was just a bad look here. To put it like this, Austin Drury gave them 6 innings of 3-hit, 2-run, 10K ball. Again, they were getting the batters, at least the Stars were, to swing and miss and get the outs they needed. However, Beard not able to get through an inning of work. Jesse not able to get through the full inning of work. They brought in Tay, who just self-imploded, didn't even record an out. Gherkin comes in to try to stop the bleeding. He lets up 5. So in the time it took them to get 1 reliever to go full inning, which would eventually go to Goings, who would get through a clean sheet of an inning in the 9th. But that 2-inning stretch here They used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pitchers who all recorded no more than 2 outs and allowed at least 1 run, most allowing 2 or more runs. A disastrous performance from the bullpen, and unfortunately for the X's, this would be the closest they would get to advancing this year. As we go to game number 3, the writing's on the wall, the momentum has turned, and there's nothing they can do about it. Falls opens up with a run. Sioux City tries early on to answer by tying it up, but then it's off to the races. The Canaries get 1 in the 2nd, 2 more in the 5th, and 3 more in the 7th to cap off a huge day and a big series win in front of an electric crowd of 322. Jabari Henry showing why he is Mr. Canary and Mr. Association in total fullness here. A 3 home run, 5 RBI performance from him. Damn near single-handedly eliminating this Explorers team, which we had been questioning their offensive ability walking in. It reared its ugly head in this one. Weatherby, a bad start of 6 innings and 4 earned. 8 Ks still, so they were getting swings and misses, but when they weren't missing, they were clobbering. And Ryan Zimmerman putting the exclamation point on his Comeback Player of the Year award of a season with 6 innings of 1-run ball. Not overpowering stuff from any of the Canaries pitchers, but 1 run allowed in an elimination game and only 5 hits allowed says it all. Explorers are done. They'll be going home and they'll be reflecting on what could have been on a tremendous season from them that falls ultimately just short. And they were awaiting the result of this next series to see who they would play. And it was Kansas City and it was Fargo, and it was a hell of a series. Let me tell you what. First game, a true pitcher's duel. Only 9 hits across the board between these two teams, and not a single run until the dying moments of the 7th. Truly not much going offensively. On the flip side here, Krieger and Goldsberry each phenomenal efforts. Goldsberry, for his part, in a losing effort, 6 1/3 for the Monarchs. 6 hits, 1 run, 7 Ks, and Moore coming in relief to give up only 1 hit and a walk in about 2 innings of work, while the winning Fargo Moorhead side goes 7 innings, 2 hits, 4 walks, 5 Ks for Krieger. Harm and Alexander each combined for 2 innings and 2 Ks, and no base runners allowed. For those at home that are curious as to how that run came across, Hultquist hit a leadoff triple, and then Sparks got a base hit that drove home that run. Like I said, dying moments, nearly escaped it, but unfortunately for the Monarchs, they were just outpitched enough. Then we have the classic, and arguably the best game so far of the postseason, regardless of leagues, and that was Game 2 of this series, a do-or-die game for the Monarchs, and they answered the bell, and through early on, did not look like anything that special of a matchup. A run in the 1st and 4th for the Monarchs, and then Kansas City allows 2 to the Red Hawks in the 6th inning. We would not see another run for 9 innings of play, and if you do the math, that will tell you we played 15 innings in this one here. Plenty of opportunities either way. Again, a pitcher's duel of pitchers' duels here. Jake Dykhoff, your pitcher of the year, goes 6 innings, and he barely even played a third of this one. Bullpen, the effort, phenomenal for both sides here. They each combined for some big innings. They each combined, allowing but 5 hits on the Fargo side and just 3 hits on the Kansas City side. Truly a phenomenal performance here. And unfortunately for the Red Hawks, this was a crushing blow of a loss here. It's one that really made you question it, because you played 9 innings of scoreless baseball. And here is how it ends. A base hit to Brantley Bell, a fielder's choice and an advance by error for out 1. And then you have a double that scores the game-tying run, an intentional walk then to Isaiah Gillum, a wild pitch that advances runners to scoring position, and then on a 2-1 count, a wild pitch from Garrett Alexander between the legs of his catcher scores the winning run in the bottom of the 15th with 2 outs, nearly making it to 16 innings. Truly a backbreaker and a heartbreaker, and less than 24 hours later they'd have to respond. And how do those Red Hawks respond? Were the Monarchs able to bring momentum in? That answer was a resounding no. Fargo would open up the scoring early on in the first. They bring one to the plate, and Tyler Jandren would show up, and he would perform a little sketchy in the first, but after that, he would give them 5 more innings of 2-hit, 1-walk ball before Jeans would come in for 3 innings of clean work, not a base runner allowed, and striking out 1 inning. Which is no disrespect to this Kansas City staff. They did put up a good effort. Goodrow put up a valiant effort, 3-hit, 3-run performance, 3 innings, and Gambrell put up 2 hits, no earned, but 2 unfortunately do cross. Moore allows for 1. Noriega and Martinez shut the door, but there was too little too late at that point, considering runs from Fargo and each of the odd innings up until the 7th, but at that point the damage was done. It was a 6-zip ball game where the offense of the Monarchs no-showed, and that was that. That would send Fargo through. That would set up our first match of the next round in Sioux Falls and Fargo-Moorhead, which would just leave the question of who was going to play Kane County. Well, that was an easy enough question to answer. Chicago, Lake Country, battling it out, each on opposite trajectories, and it showed early, it showed often. Chicago opens the scoring in the second, a pair of runs cross. They trade 5-run innings in the third, and then in the 8th, Lake Country starts to claw it back, but Chicago slams the door on that effort to go up big enough by 1. However, they fumbled the bag. A 3-run inning, DiLabio does not perform like he needs to. However, Chancisco is there to bail him out with a walk-off 2-run shot off of Rob Gesselman, the former major leaguer. And that is all she wrote. Each starter in this one does not see the 4th inning. Hansel sees 2 innings after allowing 6 runs, 5 of them are earned. Nedro only gets 3 innings, 5 runs, all of which are earned. Chicago bullpen outside of DiLabio does a solid enough job with only Keys allowing a run. Flip side for Lake Country, their bullpen also did a solid enough job. However, Dillard and Gesselman each allowed 2, and that is, unfortunately, the difference maker here, and one that would put the dog counts on the ropes. You score 9 and you still lose. It is a tough day at the office. Anyway, you cut it. However, maybe they can perform now that they're at home. Well, Chicago puts that theory to bed early. 2 runs in the first, shuts them down the whole way, allowing only 3 hits. Chicago tacks on insurance runs in the 7th and the 9th. Brady Miller outduels Jacob Nix with a 7-inning, 2-hit masterclass in an elimination game to seal the door. Nix, to his credit, allowed only 1 run in those 7 innings that was earned. He did allow 3 to cross, but 2 of which were unearned. Gesselman does rebound from a rough outing the day prior with a clean sheet inning. However, Torres allows 1 in his 9th inning effort. It didn't matter though, with the only offense the dot count seen coming really from Ray Zuber with a 1-for-4 night and a pair of walks from O'Keefe. Conversely, Hopkins finishes off a big series for himself with a 1-for-4 day with 2 RBIs, the benefit of hitting a 2-run home run, and a 2-run day from Dusty Schroep with a 1-for-2 2-walk effort. That was our only sweep in this one, as the Dogs win it 4-zip. They will play the Kane County Cougars in round number 2, of which those games are already underway. You can see the schedules on your screen right now, should you want to follow along with where and when those games are. For what it's worth, these do look like some solid matchups here. Sioux Falls and Fargo-Moorhead are in the same class of teams. However, Fargo's a little bit more rounded of a team, while the Canaries do rely a bit more on the offensive effort, as we have seen already here. For what it's worth, I lean Fargo in this one. I just think as a more well-rounded team, they'll be able to pull it out, but who's to say? They are fairly evenly matched. On the flip side here, Kane County and Chicago, one team better than the other when it comes to the postseason, one team a little bit more developed than the other. Chicago feels like the safer pick here. However, if the Cougars show up in postseason form, they could be a very tough team to beat. However, the Dogs do have a bit more of a break from their sweep, so that could be an important factor in all of this as well. We'll see. The Dogs now have home field advantage, so that could be something that we look to in this best of 5 set. So we will stay tuned to these results, and when we have them all done, we will hit you with the second round recap and championship preview. But until then, don't forget to play ball.